Before you tape up a single box in 2026, you need to see the places that could quietly wreck your money and safety. Over 40 million Americans are expected to move in 2026, chasing cheaper rent, softer weather, or that fantasy of a slower life. But hidden in that wave are thousands of people walking straight into towns that are affordable because something underneath is broken. Crumbling pipes, dying job markets, disaster risks, or crime that never made it into the brochure. On paper, these spots can look like clever hacks, low prices, open space, smiling photos. In reality, some are logistical nightmares that drain savings and trap careers. Today, we're counting down 26 US places that are far riskier than they appear if you're thinking about moving there in 2026. From remote Arctic outposts to storm-battered Gulf cities and a lake with a chilling safety record, each spot on this list comes with fine print you cannot ignore. Number 26, King Cove, Alaska. Picture a postcard fishing town on the Aleutian chain. Ocean, mountains, bald eagles. Now imagine needing a medical flight while the weather shuts the sky down for days. That's King Cove. Most jobs revolve around commercial fishing and processing. When prices or quotas change, paychecks swing. Groceries, fuel, and supplies arrive by boat or plane, so basics cost far more than in much of the country. There's a clinic but no full hospital. Serious emergencies need air evacuation, which storms regularly block. Isolation here isn't cozy, it's risk. Number 25, Lake Charles, Louisiana. This city has been rebuilt more in a few recent years than some places get updated in a generation. Major storms have slammed it again and again, driving up insurance costs, stressing infrastructure, and leaving scars that still haven't fully healed. Violent crime sits well above the national average. The job market leans on volatile petrochemical work, and rents stay high thanks to limited, undamaged housing. Living here means treating every hurricane season like a high-stakes exam that never ends. How many times do you want to rebuild the same life? Number 24, Hilldale, Utah. A small town near red cliffs and national park views sounds perfect until you learn you're walking into the aftershock of a notorious fundamentalist sect. Hilldale is still untangling decades of control, secrecy, and community fracture. Incomes run low, jobs are limited, and schools and services are recovering from years of strange oversight. Social circles can be closed to outsiders, especially anyone asking questions. The scenery is gorgeous, but move here lightly and you may feel like you just stepped into chapter 14 of someone else's unresolved drama. Number 23, North Tulsa, Oklahoma. Tulsa has booming districts and relocation incentives, but head north of downtown and you hit an area shaped by historic racial violence and modern neglect. Violent crime rates in some neighborhoods are among the highest in the region. Median incomes are low, major employers cluster elsewhere, and schools fight for resources. Houses can be inexpensive, but many need major repairs, and services like groceries, banking, and transit are thinner than in other parts of the city. You're not just buying a cheap home, you're signing up for a long fight with underinvestment. Number 22, Niobrara, Nebraska. This tiny river town has literally moved locations to escape flooding, and the water is still pushing in. Historic floods have destroyed roads and bridges, and climate trends suggest that once-in-a-generation events may come far more often. Houses look affordable until you add flood insurance, repairs, and the emotional cost of watching the river rise. Jobs lean on agriculture and tourism, medical care is distant, and internet can be unreliable. You're living in a community that knows it might have to pick up and move again. Number 21, Winnemucca, Nevada. Drive long enough through northern Nevada and you reach a town that seems to have a suspiciously number of motels for its size. Winnemucca lives on highway traffic, mining, and passing truckers more than on long-term stability. Groceries and gas get marked up, rent is higher than you'd expect for such an isolated place, and the job market is narrow. You can settle here, but it often feels like living in a permanent rest stop that never quite becomes a full town. Number 20, Pitcher, Oklahoma. There are bad bets, and then there are towns so toxic the government bought people out to get them to leave. Picture is the second one. Decades of mining left behind mountains of contaminated waste and hollowed-out ground. Tests showed dangerous levels of heavy metals, and engineers warned that buildings could collapse into underground voids. Most residents took buyouts. What's left is effectively a contaminated ghost town with a few holdouts. Whatever you save on property here is nothing compared to what you'd spend defending your health. Number 19, Pahrump, Nevada. Marketed as a cheaper, slower alternative to Las Vegas, Pahrump offers lower home prices and more space, but the trade-offs are serious. Crime runs higher than you'd expect, healthcare capacity is limited, and many people still commute toward Vegas for work, burning hours and fuel. Summer heat is brutal, dust storms are common, and if the power goes out, you're counting on a small local crew to fix it. Cheap land doesn't replace short commutes, strong services, or basic comfort. Number 18, Gary, Indiana. Once a steel powerhouse, Gary now showcases the long hangover from industrial collapse. Population has plunged, leaving blocks of abandoned homes and factories. Violent crime rates tower above national norms, median incomes lag far behind, and job opportunities are limited. Yes, you can buy houses for shockingly low prices, but most need extensive work, and city services, from road repairs to lighting, can be inconsistent. The psychological load of living in a half-empty city is real. Number 17, Centralia, Pennsylvania. If you have to mention an underground coal fire when describing your future hometown, that's a clue. A mine fire has burned beneath Centralia since the early 1960s, releasing gases and destabilizing the ground. Most residents left long ago, homes were demolished, and the zip code is effectively retired. There's no real economy or safe housing market here, just a long-running warning you don't want to ignore. Number 16, Truth or Consequences, New Mexico. This hot springs town with the game show name sounds quirky and fun, but the numbers tell a harsher story. Household incomes sit far below the national average, poverty rates are high, and violent crime is elevated for a place that looks sleepy from the highway. The economy leans on retirees, tourism, and spa culture, with limited opportunities for younger workers. Schools and infrastructure feel dated, and healthcare options are thin. It can be cheap, but it's easy to feel stuck. Number 15, the Delmarva Peninsula. Spread across parts of Delaware, Maryland, and Virginia, Delmarva looks like a charming coastal escape, but it's also on the front lines of rising seas and sinking land. Rural sections struggle with low incomes, limited job diversification, and spotty healthcare access. Some counties lack full hospitals. Many areas have weak broadband, hurting remote work prospects. Roads flood, shorelines erode, and insurance costs climb as climate risks grow. That quiet waterfront cottage starts to feel less peaceful when you're constantly watching storm forecasts and water lines. Number 14, Utqiagvik, Alaska. Formerly known as Barrow, this is the northernmost town in the U.S., and life here is not for casual dreamers. The sun disappears for weeks in winter, the cold is extreme, and there are no roads connecting the town to the rest of the state. Everything arrives by plane or seasonal barge, pushing the cost of food and supplies sky high. Housing is expensive, but often basic. Climate change is literally warping the ground beneath buildings, and healthcare and internet access are limited. The isolation is intense. Number 13, The Villages, Florida. From a distance, this giant retirement community looks like theme park suburbia for seniors. Golf carts, palm trees, endless activities. Up close, the cracks show. It's one of the fastest growing metro areas in the country, but growth doesn't guarantee balance. Median ages are extremely high, job options for younger residents are narrow, and homes can be pricey. Healthcare systems strain under the volume of older patients, and the social environment can feel more like a bubble than a real town. It can be cheap, but it's easy to feel stuck. Number 12, Eagle Pass, Texas. Sitting on the U.S.-Mexico border, Eagle Pass lives in a constant state of whiplash between quiet days and national headline chaos. Median incomes are low, poverty is high, and many jobs are low-wage service or government roles. Summers are brutally hot, regularly pushing well into triple digits. When border crossings surge, local infrastructure and services get overwhelmed. Crime statistics only show part of the strain. The emotional weight of living in a place politicized by people hundreds of miles away is heavy. Number 11, Tonopah, Nevada. Halfway between Las Vegas and Reno, Tonopah sells itself as historic and quirky, but the practical realities are tough. Population is small, jobs cluster around government, mining, and basic services, and the nearest full hospital is a long drive away. Housing might look affordable, but choices are limited, and many properties are dated. Shopping, entertainment, and specialized care require serious travel. The desert skies are stunning, but long-term, you're signing up for isolation. Number 10. Jackson, Mississippi. In recent years, the capital of Mississippi made national news for something unthinkable, losing reliable access to safe tap water. Aging pipes, political gridlock, and decades of underinvestment have left the city's infrastructure fragile. Violent crime rates are extremely high, poverty is widespread, and home values are low because many buyers simply stay away. Residents juggle boil water notices, damaged roads, and uncertain public services. Cheap property here comes with daily anxiety and surprise expenses. Number 9. East St. Louis, Illinois. Just across the river from St. Louis sits a city where housing is almost unbelievably cheap, and the trade-offs are brutally clear. Violent crime rates are many times the national average. Poverty is deep, unemployment is stubborn, and infrastructure is crumbling. Streetlights fail, sidewalks vanish into dirt, and emergency response can be slow. Schools are underfunded and economic development lags. A low mortgage isn't a bargain if you're constantly worried about safety and your long-term exit plan. Number 8. Williston, North Dakota. During the oil boom, Williston exploded with jobs and RV camps. The boom has cooled, but many costs never really came down. Housing and groceries remain expensive for such a remote town. Winters are long and punishing, and the job market is still tied to extraction industries that rise and fall. Social life is limited. You might earn good money for a while, but staying long-term can feel like paying big city prices to live in a frozen work camp. Number 7. Paradise, California. The name sounds idyllic, but wildfire history turned this town into a symbol of climate-driven risk. A catastrophic blaze destroyed most of Paradise in 2018, and while rebuilding is underway, the core danger remains. Steep terrain, limited escape routes, and forests that can turn deadly under the right wind. Insurance is expensive or unavailable, rebuild costs are high, and smoke seasons can make summers miserable. Number 6. Dillingham, Alaska. On the edge of Bristol Bay, Dillingham offers jaw-dropping scenery and some of the most expensive grocery runs you'll ever make. There are no roads connecting it to the highway system. Everything arrives by plane or boat, turning basic food and supplies into luxury items. The economy leans on seasonal fishing, year-round jobs are limited, and healthcare and retail options are few. Winters are long, dark, and cold. Living here demands a high tolerance for isolation and cost. Number 5. Slab City, California. Often hyped as a no-rules desert camp, Slab City is more intense survival experiment than town. Built on an abandoned military base in the desert, it has no official power, water, or sewer systems. Crime isn't reliably tracked, temperatures soar well above 110 degrees, and public services don't really exist. If something goes wrong, you're on your own. It may attract artists and drifters, but for most people looking for a stable new home, this is not freedom, it's exposure. Number 4. Kalaupapa, Hawaii. A peninsula framed by cliffs and blue water sounds like paradise, but Kalaupapa is intentionally hard to reach, and it's meant to stay that way. Historically used as an isolated settlement for people with Hansen's disease, it's now a protected historic site with tightly controlled access. Population is tiny, there are no regular grocery stores, and medical care requires serious travel. You can't just move here like a normal town, and even if you could, the isolation is extreme. Number 3. Yuba County, California. On a map, this looks like affordable Northern California, close enough to bigger cities, with mountain access and cheaper homes. The reality is harsher. Crime rates are higher than the national average, unemployment runs hot, and the area is exposed to both wildfire and flood risk. Public services feel stretched, healthcare options are limited, and commutes can be long. You save on the purchase price, then pour that money back into insurance, driving, and disaster prep. Number 2. Whittier, Alaska. Imagine a town where almost everyone lives in one tall building, reachable by a single tunnel that closes at night. That's Whittier. Jobs revolve around seasonal tourism and marine work. Winters are long and windy, and nearly everything must be shipped in. Social life happens under one roof, which can feel cozy or claustrophobic. If you like privacy, options, and easy exits, this setup will test you. Miss the tunnel window, and you're literally stuck until it reopens. Number 1. Lake Lanier, Georgia. At the top of the list is a lake that looks peaceful in photos but carries a reputation that makes locals uneasy. Built by flooding former communities northeast of Atlanta, Lake Lanier has seen hundreds of deaths from drownings and boating incidents over the decades. Development around the shoreline has surged, traffic is intense, and emergency services are stretched thin on busy days. Waterfront housing is expensive yet lacks big city amenities.